Hi, I'm Nicole Crane, and today I'm going to be talking about what makes me special as a coach. I did one of these before to support Unfuck University, but since Exquisite is in the last about less than 10 days from when we start the this first round of clients, um, one of the things that makes me special is that I have quite a bit of experience with kink and BDSM. I'm currently involved in the local leather and kink communities, and especially the groups that focus on education, because I found, especially when I have a play partner that's kind of new to the scene, I really love giving them access that's not directly tied to me, for information, techniques, community building, which is like my number one reason that even when I'm not feeling especially moved to have a lot of kinky play in my sex life, I love the normalization of having pretty continuous, steady contact with people who are similar to me. So I feel like that's really important. Um, I'm also a sex worker. I have dabbled in dominatrix work here and there, but mostly it's happening at the strip club anyway. I've been a dancer for the last 15 years in 2 different states, well, 3 different states, and multiple different clubs, kind of figuring out what works for me, where I feel the most safe, where I feel the most comfortable, where I make the most money. And honestly, I really love dancing in Salt Lake. So I have a really good club. Right now we have a spectacular staff, and so it makes it really fun and easy and fulfilling. So that's another aspect that I don't feel like a lot of even sex, love, and relationship coaches have that kind of context. I am also pansexual, so I have experience dating. I don't have any experience dating anyone who's non-binary, but I do have experience dating men and women and trans folk. And I'm also very sex positive, obviously. I mean, it sounds obvious, but sometimes they're very sex negative sex workers, which seems super contradictory. But whether it's due to trauma or bias or I don't know, social pressure, I feel like some sex workers are very anti-sex, or they don't really enjoy it. So I love sex. I love talking about sex. I feel like I'm probably shadow banned on a lot of platforms because I don't really censor myself, which I need to figure out a little bit more. So the reason why I think this is super important is because this is kind of like an old school, I think it's called the DSM, but whatever the diagnostic book for therapy is, really had a lot of harsh opinions on both the kink and the gay community. So I want to let you know that I don't feel like these things are the problem. I mean, maybe if you think they're the problem, we can talk about that, but I'm not going to say, oh, it's your gay or lesbian relationship, or oh, I think that it's your oh, I'm also polyamorous. So that's another thing that I get a lot of pushback, especially from, or have received pushback, and partners of mine have had pushback from mental health providers in the past, is that they think that, if we had respect for ourselves, that we would be in monogamous relationships. And so obviously I am not getting paid to boss you around. If that's what you're interested in, we can talk. That is not this discussion, but I am here to support you in exploring different ideas. So if you feel like monogamy would be more supportive for your nervous system, or would help you achieve your goals, then we can look at that. But I'm not automatically going to assume that if you're outside of monogamy, if you're choosing to pursue polyamory or swinging or other forms of non-monogamy, that that's why you're unhappy and that's what needs to be fixed about you. We're not trying to fix you. We're just trying to remove the blocks that are keeping you from being happy and fulfilled and from truly thriving. So that's why that's super important to me. So and then also I have a lot of experience. So if if these are things that you're interested in exploring, I could offer some advice or some pitfalls to avoid potentially, and set you up with realistic expectations and also tools going in that I didn't necessarily have when I was like, you know, looking into polyamorous groups, or like going to kinky munches and just like running into problematic situations that we all kind of stumble through at some point, unless we have someone to kind of guide us through. So I would love to offer that experience to you. And also, I kind of wanted to go over, there are 12 weeks in Exquisite. So I kind of have the basic itinerary up on the website currently, and I'm in the middle of updating the little descriptions so that you can have like a more cohesive idea of what to expect every week. So if you really want to get into the nuts and bolts of what Exquisite is about, that information is on the website. And just a kind of broad overview, a lot of things that we're working on are nervous system prep. So whether it's visualization or there's a gorgeous process, it's really one of my favorites, where we take you through, I like to call it the ladder, but basically we like increase your success and we kind of find the level that your comfort zone is. And if you want to like take it up a couple notches past that, just to see what it feels like in your nervous system, we can either kind of do that over and over again until it feels safe to go there, or we can also just kind of like realize where like good enough is. And I know that that sounds like a term where you're settling for less, but honestly, sometimes being like happy and comfortable and safe is more important than like achieving a goal. So it kind of gives you a better baseline where to weigh out, like, is having more money or more validation in my community, or whatever success and achievement looks like to you, is this more important than being safe and calming my nervous system and really like cultivating this sense of comfort, which feels better to me? And it helps you really assess like what to focus your actions and priorities around. So another thing that we focus on really early on is heart awakening, which really just like opens up your ability to love yourself and to love other people. And it also involves some healing. So it's such a beautiful process, which is why I like to get right into that at the very beginning. And then there are 5 weeks of empowerment processes. So it's not the full range that we cover in WPOW, which is my women's empowerment program, but it's like, I don't know what that is, like 2/3 or so. So we cover mental, emotional, spiritual, money, and either sexual or agency power. I did a bunch of videos on those. They're available either in my Facebook group, Nicole Crane Coaching, or on YouTube, which is also Nicole Crane Coaching, if you want to search for more details on that. It's a little bit thick and nerdy. I've kind of learned to do this more like quick and dirty style, where we just kind of do like a really high level overview, so I don't like bore people to death with like basically giving mini lectures on like the minutia of like what everything entails. But if you're interested, those are available. And then we also do a process where we get into the shadow self and reclaim lost pieces, which, oh my God, I'm trying to decide if around Halloween, if we're going to do that as a live stream. So if that's something that you're interested in, it's not actually spooky or creepy. We do a meditation where we visit the underworld. So it kind of has a little bit of a dark flavor to it, but I wouldn't say it's actually scary. It's a very grounded and safe and held process. But it's really one of my favorite. I know I say everything's my favorite, but with my own personal experience, when I went through these processes in the SLRC program, it was probably the most profound and the most emotional process that I personally went through. And until I got to the empowerment major that I went through, it was really the most empowering process that I went through, I think. So it's got a special place in my heart. And then the final week is focusing on the 3 orgasmic ingredients, which are pleasure, expansion and movement, and a mind shift, which typically in women shows up as surrender, but can show up as other kinds of mind shifts. So I don't necessarily want to get super into detail with that, but if that's something that interests you, please either comment below or reach out to me in private messages or at NicoleCraneCoach@gmail.com. And I would consider doing a live stream just on the 3 orgasmic ingredients if you're interested in that. And then when I was talking about the SLRC program, that reminds me that that's something that sets me apart from a lot of my peers as well, is that I had 600 hours of training in the Sex, Love, and Relationship Coaching Program by Layla Martin, which just as of this week was kind of renamed as the Vita Technique. So I really, and I'm embracing that change. Like usually I'm a little like, oh, this is weird, I don't know if I like it, but I actually love that we finally have a name for the processes that we guide our clients through. And it's a beautiful name. So yay. So I'm a Vita coach now as well. So a lot of that was based on Tantra, Taoism, and psychology. But I also did a major in women's empowerment, which had additional sources. But so I like to call it like a low and slow technique. That's why it takes 3 months for the full transformation, because I feel like if we go in too deeply, too quickly, it kind of tends to make your nervous system seize up, and it causes a lot of resistance, and sometimes it can be actually kind of traumatizing. So I like a more slow, sustained, soft, gentle, loving, co-creation environment. So that's what I strive really hard to create with my clients. So if you have any additional questions on any of these pieces, or if there's something that like the website doesn't address that you're curious about, I would love to have you reach out to me. And oh, really quick, I also have a, I'm currently doing a survey on highly sexual women or sexy women. I want to see how to serve us better. And I want to make sure that I'm speaking to you and to our sexy sisters in a way that we really understand and hear, so that I'm not like missing the mark and kind of intending to do well, but not really reaching people with the terms that we speak in. So I would love if you would help me out with that. It's just 10 questions, and it takes between 5 and 15 minutes, depending on how in-depth your answers are. And I believe it's anonymous if you use this link. So yeah, and if you have any sexy woman friends that you think might be willing to help me out with that, you can forward that link to them. And I am still doing 2 free advice blocks, which are 30-minute, no commitment, no homework, space holding sessions where we just kind of talk about whatever is coming up for you. The typical layout is like you talk for 20 minutes, and then the last 10 minutes you can either continue to talk if you just want to kind of vent something out, or if you're wanting some like feedback or advice or whatnot, then we spend that last 10 minutes kind of wrapping up. So the first 2 women who send me a private message after they complete the survey will get a link to schedule one of those. So thank you so much, and we will talk soon. Have a great night. Bye.